9:08's the time, 29 degrees. And Marion, nice out there?
It's beautiful.
Beautiful out there. Okay, because on the East Coast over here, it's like a bomb is hitting or something like that.
Yeah, they don't know how to handle it.
No, they don't know. They don't have snow shovels. They don't have trucks, anything like that, so they have no idea how to handle all
They
this.
should just stay inside.
No, okay. No, that's just the best thing to do. Just stay inside. Your mayor is here, Marion Orr for Cheyenne, Wyoming. And I asked her to come in. Thanks for doing that, by the way, because I just want to make sure we set the record straight. You're going to do the State of the City address.
Correct. And I heard you say the city of the state, and that works too.
You could do the City of the State. It's the same thing, just in reverse over here, and that would work just fine. Okay.
Right, yeah.
So do mayors in Cheyenne normally give a State of the City or a City of the State address?
We did some research, and we have not seen that.
Wow.
And we
Is
thought
this a first?
kind of unusual, so another first.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So now have you been practicing in the mirror?
I have.
Okay.
Not.
Okay, so now how does this work? Do you call the city council? Is it open to the public?
It's open to the public. City councils, of course, invited. Department heads will be there. City staff, employees that can find time to take about 45 minutes tops off. And then, again, open to the public.
Well, you have to order some people to be there to make sure to pack the house.
Well, exactly.
You're in charge. You
I'm
can
in
do stuff
charge.
like that.
Right.
Yeah.
We need to make sure it's a good showing.
So-
Otherwise, I'll just do it from my desk in the future.
If this has never been done before, why do it?
I believe that we are just in really exciting times. Okay. I am really looking forward to showcasing what we did as a city over the past year and what we have coming forward in 2018, which is, it's really exciting.
Okay. So you got a list for us. You got a list of things you've accomplished and things you want to accomplish.
Absolutely.
Okay. Grab your headphones because the lines are already lighting up. By the way, if you'd like to talk to your mayor, 632-6500. Or outside of Wyoming, well, we'll take your call anyway. 888-503-6500. But let's start with, here's the softball question. What you think you've accomplished in 2017? What's good?
Well, we have done... We've been busy in 2017. It started off the first of the year with a transformation reorganization of City Hall, and that was something that was in the works with the FAST committee as far as streamlining. So we started with that, and then got into realizing that we had the 150th celebration. So very quickly got a team of fantastic people together that pulled off a beautiful week of celebration for the 150th. And then going back to everything that I really campaigned on, the roads. We did a lot of, I think we did between 7 and 9 miles of chip seal. We continue to fight the blight and look forward to in this next quarter taking care of some buildings that have been listed by the blight committee and taking their recommendations to heart. And then we have a full police department. When I campaigned, we were 11 men and women under, and so we're fully staffed with law enforcement. And now we're going to be pushing forward and trying to crack down on speeding and other issues that we hear about town.
So let's go back to reorganizing the city. So I've worked for some companies before where they realize, well, we can do the same work we're doing now, just maybe with fewer people, if we just reorganize our departments, and it takes some people a little while to get used to that. Okay, so how's that working out? Because, I mean, sometimes people really grumble and complain when they suddenly get shifted down the hall, they get new responsibilities.
I will tell you that it was certainly a frightening time for city employees when we had an all city staff meeting at the Civic Center after the strategic planning meeting of the department heads. I won't lie, there were tears. There was a lot of fear and a lot of angst as far as jobs. No jobs were riffed or cut through the reorganization, and things have really settled down. And from at least what I hear, people really like the change, especially in community parks and recreation, where everybody's talking to each other, the different departments and organizations. So really breaking down those silos has helped tremendously.
Okay, well, and part of that was, I remember, because I came here in February. We're coming up on a year. So I came in here in February, and one of the discussions we were having is you wanted to reorganize snow removal, having to do with who was going to do it in your parks, and when is it a parks problem, when is it a road problem, How did that end up look? What does that look like now?
Well, we're still really working on that, but absolutely that communication has gone forward. So if somebody's cleaning off the greenway, obviously in communication with street and alley, our road crews. In fact, I got the opportunity to ride in a snowplow during this last snowstorm. So really creating some efficiencies and through attrition, saving money.
Okay, now let's talk about savings for a minute since you brought up savings. So we are under budget.
We are.
Okay. How much?
Yeah. Hard to say for right now. We're only halfway through the year. We are under budget, and sales tax revenues have been greater than what we anticipated.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
So that's a good thing.
So now you still want to make cuts, I understand, for 2018 or 19?
Correct. Yep. 2018, we are still looking at cuts. We are looking at reducing fleet. We hope for those vehicles to go back out on the market or something, reducing fleet. And then it's crazy how many cell phones we had in the city. And it might sound trivial, but when your cell phone bill is almost $500,000 a year, that's pretty substantial. So we are taking a look at efficiencies such as that.
Okay. What kind of cell phones and what kind of plan is also what I would think about. Because you can get little flip phones with nothing to them. All you can do, I know this is weird to some people, the phone just makes phone calls. You can actually get those and not have anything else.
Exactly. You can text back and forth. And that's so certainly looking at, again, how we can save money through IT.
Okay.
Each department had their own plan. So IT's been very helpful in this.
Any idea how much you think you might be able to save next year?
We are hoping for at least 25%.
Okay. If you'd like to talk to Mayor Orr, 632-6500 is the phone number. This is Glenn. Who's on the phone?
Yes, it's Doug.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Mayor Orr, I'm one of the individuals in your city that's homeless, but I live in a vehicle or on a flatbed trailer. Where I get ran off to move, I've even been told by your police department to leave the city. What's up with that? Where do you folks want me to go? I do work when I pick
Yes,
pick
sir.
up
I thank you for calling, and I believe that you've had communication with Eric and our staff before as far as trying to assist you in those times when you have, in fact, been towed. And we are working and communicating with city police regarding where we can have folks such as yourself that live in their vehicles park and not get towed. Unfortunately, what happens are residents complain that there's somebody parked outside of their home where they feel that they should be parking, and so it's a communication situation within the community, but certainly very sensitive to it.
This is Glenn. Who's on the phone?
Good morning. This is Jim.
Yes, sir.
I brought this up with the previous mayor on a couple of occasions a couple of years ago. Nothing seemed to be accomplished. I live on the south side of Pershing Boulevard, directly across from East High School. They've done a beautiful beautification job in front of the school with sidewalk and the whole schmear trees. And it seems rather ironic all these years that on the south side of Pershing, all the way from roughly Henderson all the way up to the Congregational Church at Forest, they have never put in any sidewalking along the Pershing south side area. And there's also a fence that's been damaged that's down toward the Cole Shopping Center that's been damaged for probably a year and a half or so. That's never been fixed. Just wondered if you could put that on your agenda.
Sir, absolutely. I remember going door to door on that street and realizing how extremely narrow that sidewalk is and quite unsafe for pedestrians and also, school kids with East High School over to that area. And like you, when we're redoing roads, I question why we didn't take care of both sides of the street. And we'll certainly check out with our engineering department and find out if what, if any, plans are in store for that area, and certainly down closer to the Cole Shopping Center area. There will be some development, I believe, coming here in 2018 around the Cole Shopping Center area, and perhaps we can kill two birds with one stone.
Okay. And there was something I read in the paper today. What is this about? Something being approved over by the mall, a development coming in?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. So that's going to come in as well. But there's still, I look around Cheyenne, and I think there's so many beautiful old buildings here. over by the big roundabout, we have a whole shopping center sitting there. There's a lot of empty spaces here that I would just love to see people come into. How do you bring them in?
They are. Well, that's a good question, Glenn, and one that I have kind of struggled in conversations. Is that really the role of city government to,
that's right.
Determine who and what should be developed there, or is it the role, in my opinion, and it is, for city government to help businesses kind of get out of the way? We are really trying to streamline our business development planning office. Have some great, exciting things coming on with that. But my prediction is in 2018 we'll see Cole Shopping Center developed, as well as the Hitching Post site.
Okay.
And,
Yeah. Which again, I'm going to get you. You want a camouflage bulldozer?
Please, camouflage bulldozer.
Okay. And I want video of you. I want to.
I don't want to be seen.
No,
I'm thinking
okay.
if it's camouflage.
Oh, you won't be seen tearing the place
incognito.
down. So on the other side of the tracks, apparently we've pushed back the time a little bit. There's some trailers out there. Is there a new owner? I understand.
What we're finding is currently the previous owner is still the record of owner within the county assessor's office, but maybe new management.
New management, okay.
We'll call it new management.
And from what I understand is he's currently not charging rent for the people who are still there. Some have left.
For at least the 4 structures that we have kind of spotlighted, correct, not charging, at least that's our understanding, not charging rent. I learned that of the 4, 2 have been vacated. Folks have moved along, and that's better for them. I heard one moved to Arizona, and I'm not sure where the other couple went, but probably to better housing.
This is delicate. I mean,
Extremely.
government getting involved in something like this. So what are your plans from here? You just keeping an eye on them, or what are the plans?
Well, we have given them, they asked for a 6 months extension. We gave them a 60-day extension, which was actually closer to 90 days from the original. So they have until February 27th to bring things up to code, or to come to us with another possible extension. I don't know that there is a will with City Council even to grant that again. And so then we go into a condemnation proceeding, which again, it takes time and notice, 30, 60, 90 days for condemnation. And for condemnation, they'll have to be removed from the site.
Okay, let's head back to the phones here. By the way, if you want to talk to Mayor Orr, 632-6500 is the phone number. This is Glenn. Who's on with us?
Good morning, Glenn. Good morning, Mayor. This is Rick. How are you this morning?
Good morning.
Hey, I just wanted to say I'm very pleased with the direction you have the city going. It seems that everything you've done so far has been in a positive light. You'll never make everybody happy, but with what you've done, you've definitely done a good job.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome. Folks, have a good day.
Okay.
You too.
Well, it's nice for someone just to call and drop a compliment bomb and run off like that.
I appreciate that. we
good.
Like any public service job, you tend to
hear
the
negatives.
and that's
It's
okay.
repetitive.
That's our job.
Okay.
But
So
thank
now,
you for the compliment.
looking into let's stick with Fight the Blight for a minute, because I have a good time picking on the hotel up the road over here and bulldozing the whole thing, and it's got to come down. So where are we at with that now? Because you had a proposal to take land for payment to.
Correct.
Where are we at?
So where we are at with that, the owner, she lives in New Jersey. She flew out. We met a couple weeks ago, just before the holiday, and together we have decided that what we're going to do is we have to do a phase 1 environmental, which means we have to test the area for contamination. That's very typical for a purchase, and then we are having it appraised by our appraisers, and then we will come back to negotiate a purchase sale agreement amount. And what would then happen is the city will get property, basically conveyance of property of same value as much as we possibly can. Then that money goes towards tearing down and bulldozing and shipping away all but building number 5.
All but building number 5. Oh, hang on, we got a call. I want to squeeze in real quick before the bottom of the hour break. This is Glenn. Who's on the phone with us?
Yeah, this is Jerry. Live out on Evers, and they re-blacktop the road, but they never filled in the manhole covers, so it's like driving an obstacle course going down through there. The manhole covers are 4 inches below the blacktop.
So there's a big boom there.
Yes, I absolutely am familiar with Evers. Evers is scheduled to basically be completely redone here in the next year. I believe where we're at with engineering, that I believe it's gone out for another design bid, a proposal, but Evers is probably the area likely that will be the recipient of the 6 penny funds that were voted on by the voters in the last election. Evers certainly has some drainage issues, and it's very wide, and it's the manhole covers are just a portion of it.
So we're probably talking about a complete redo on that whole
We
thing.
We are, and it's going to be expensive, and it's going to take time, but we're going to do it and do it right.
Okay, sounds good. More in just a moment. Here's what I got lined up for you. Fox News coming next. Sports, and see the glory of Cheyenne as they're pulling in.
Absolutely, and I certainly would too. I believe that 2018 up to 2020, we're really poised to make that kind of development happen. My office in particular, I get calls from developers very interested in that stretch along the hitching post. With as much you like them or hate them, the Uniform Development Code, when businesses come in, they will have to do beautification efforts, and that will assist with putting trees and walkable space. I'm really excited with what we have going on right now, a development off of I-25, just off of Happy Jack. It's currently, it's been used for years as the park and ride area for Cheyenne Frontier Days. It's about 74 acres of base, and we are going to be annexing that. And there's a proposal out there to put in some really fantastic commercial and housing development in that area. And I think that will really spur that whole entrance and that west edge again.
And are there people ready to grab that land?
Absolutely. Yep. There's a contract, I believe. Balfour Beatty won the contract. They're working with locally Coldwell, and certainly the city's involved. We are going to be seeking $6 million from the Wyoming Business Council, $3 million in a loan and $3 million in a grant to take care of the infrastructure for that development, and that's essentially our incentive package, if you will, for that development. But we believe we'll see that come back.
Well, real quick, back to the hitching post. Last time we were talking about that, you said there were some companies that were sort of interested in that area. Do you have any bites?
Absolutely, we do. Yep, I believe that in short order that will be sold and redeveloped. And what the city will actually be able to gain is easement into the Ice and Event Center. And I didn't realize this, but we don't own that. So you just drive in, and it's a crazy parking. You don't know if you're driving. You're just driving into parking. It's and the marquee is not well done, and it's because we don't own that, so we've not been able to make those improvements. So we can assist with that beautification effort.
Can you tell us who might be interested in that yet?
Not yet.
No. Okay. All right. Back to the phones we go. If you got a question for the mayor, 632-6500. This is Glenn, who's on the phone.
Sure, I've got a quick question for the lady on, or for the girl on third floor at 2101 O'Neill.
Okay.
If you go the condemnation route with the trailers, which Glenn calls the other side of the tracks, I take offense to that. Cheyenne is one community, not divided. But anyway, do you have plans to do that? And if you do, what is it going to cost?
Good morning, Judy, and thank you for your years of service on council. You're probably aware with the condemnation laws, and as far as cost, what happens is that ends up being a lien on the property. So it will be a cost to the city, and then the lien is put on the property. The structures themselves have no value, but there will be a lien for the property and the property owner that hopefully we'd be able to recoup.
Okay. So at some point then it's conceivable that the city could end up owning that property if there's a lien on it and it's not paid for.
Correct. If there's a lien and it's not paid for,
then what?
And then that is again a lengthy process between.
When you look at the blighted property, there's little places all over Cheyenne like that. Is this the only place? I was asked this by a caller a couple of days ago. Is this the only place that you're looking at, or are there other places you want to take the same action?
Right. This is not the only place. In fact, we have, and it'll be going through council here shortly, we have received bids to tear down, it's been vacant for a long time, I guess you'd call it a house, over on Capitol, in the 800 block of Capitol. It was falling in on itself, condemned it, and we have a price, I believe it's roughly $45,000 to completely abate it. And we also currently have people that, of which, of course, we will pay for that, put a lien on it, and we have people that are interested in developing it, so then they would purchase that piece of property from the city.
This is Glenn, who's on with me.
This is Ken.
Yes, sir.
I was wondering, since we're talking about eminent domain and everything, when in the hell are we going to get rid of the Heinz building? I mean, it's been 30 years, and it still sits there.
It's still sitting there. And I got some questions. Thanks. Let me take it up from there, because to me, that is a grand old building. And I would love to see somebody do something with it. But on the other hand, it would be so expensive to fix it up. I'm thinking the property owner probably wants to sell it at a loss just so somebody could afford to fix it up. So what do you do with it?
Boy, that has that's been the conundrum for 30 years.
Yeah.
And it's privately owned, I do believe, and Councilman Laybourne has stated this as well. I do believe it will take some kind of private-public partnership with the city through whatever kind of incentives that we can provide regarding, again, being able to bring things up to code, bringing fiber connectivity to it. It's great space. It's beautiful space. Yeah. I think that actually, as much as I don't like to grow governments, there are some opportunities actually for, in my opinion, some government buildings in there. But again, they're not going to pay $20 a square foot.
No one has taken seriously my idea of the hole, to put a big rock down there and call it a meteor strike and make it an attraction for Cheyenne.
Well, I was trying to bring Devil's Tower down here. Let's just move it.
If you could, just move the whole thing. That would be brick by brick. It would take a little while. We can get it done. This is Glenn, who's on the phone with me.
Say, I wanted to ask the mayor a question.
Go ahead.
Shouldn't private enterprise be doing all this stuff? You know, you're talking about developing all these different things, and us paying for sewers and water into these developments. You know, shouldn't a private enterprise be doing this instead of the city? I mean,
that's a very good question.
It is a great question, and it's one where certainly constitutionally the city we can't give, for instance, property tax breaks to incentivize companies to come here, and that actually puts Cheyenne and Wyoming at a disadvantage from our neighbors over in Colorado, where they are able to waive property tax for a year or the first 5 years. And so if we are going to be competitive, what we have to do is assist with especially those front end costs that help spur the development, and try to think of the bigger picture, future tax incentives that not tax incentives, but the tax, the revenue taxes that we'll actually be receiving from that development.
So you can make it more attractive for someone to want to come in.
We can make it more attractive. We can also really work with property owners and developers as far as really trying to streamline that business, that start to finish. And going forward to 2018, I know that we're going to be talking about that, and that's certainly something that our new planning and development director and myself are going to be working on, so that you, Glenn, if you want to come in and open up a shop, I'm going to assign a person in City Hall to you, and they're going to walk you through the process from start to finish, and we'll be there at the beginning, and we'll be there at the end to help you out with your ribbon cutting ceremony.
And you did say during one of our commercial breaks that it actually is pretty inexpensive to rent in downtown. So for the city to make it easier to open up a business, well, there you go. You're going to give a state of the city or city of the state address, one of those two, either works. And that's going to be a Monday at 10:30. And where are you going to do this from?
We're going to do it at the Civic Center, and it's open to the public. And I certainly encourage everyone to come. And if you can't come, we'll be streaming it live on our City of Cheyenne Facebook page.
Okay. Are you going to be taking any questions or just making a speech?
Just making a speech.
Okay. We've talked a lot about what you think you've accomplished in the past year. So what about what's coming in 2018? You going to talk about that?
We are.
Okay. Such as?
Well, I saw that there's a caller. No, we are.
Okay, we'll go to the caller first.
Hanging on.
This is Glenn. Who's on the phone with us?
Yeah, I just called a while ago, and I'm talking about this private enterprise and the city taking over. Now listen, you got a whole bunch of empty buildings. You got Kmart, you've got all of the Kohl Shopping Center, you got buildings that are empty all over this town, and you want to build some more? It doesn't make sense to me.
Okay. Well, where did you want to build more?
Well, actually, it's not so much of us building more. It's F.E. Warren Air Force Base has been working with the city and the county, because currently we have between 400 and 600 servicemen and women that commute from Colorado. They live in Colorado because they don't have affordable housing. So this is going to be essentially on base affordable housing for them, but it's not on F.E. Warren property, so it can still be accessible to us civilians.
So the people that are working at the base can actually live right next to the base.
That's what we want them to do.
Okay. 2018. I know you don't like New Year's resolutions. I don't do them either. Your goals.
Well, the goals are to really, with the city of Cheyenne, the previous caller mentioned, Kohl Shopping Center, I believe that will be under development by a private developer, with the city helping out, again, to make the building process as uncumbersome, if you will, as possible. Hitching Post, that site's going to be redeveloped. Kmart, there's already private development, again, going into that. It's the role of city government with those developments to help get out of their way. Make sure, of course, that everything correct.
Yeah,
and another that shall still yet to be unnamed. But really, so we want to have more streamlined efficiencies within our building and development department. Really want to look at accessibility to affordable high-speed internet broadband, especially downtown West Edge areas that we are developing, and then creating policies going forward that include fiber and connectivity. Everything's becoming smart. You try to buy anything anymore, and your refrigerator is even smarter than.
Oh God, I'm not going to get a refrigerator that has a computer on it.
Right.
And it's going to tell me I can't eat that. This is Glenn. Who's on the phone with us?
I find it hard to believe that the cost of housing is cheaper in Fort Collins than it is in Cheyenne. That's not true at all.
Okay. Well, would you say then that the cost of living, I know it would be cheaper in Cheyenne, I agree with him on that, but still unaffordable? Why are they driving all the way down to Colorado?
Well, and it's not necessarily Fort Collins. Windsor, Wellington, they have a better market for apartments and multifamily dwelling units that are more affordable than what we have here. You and I were talking earlier. If you want to buy a home in a certain area of town, it's really hard, to find a house in the historic neighborhoods down here and things that are within people's price range. So
would this be subsidized in some way, or?
What it will be is affordable because of property taxes will not be involved within the cost of that. So the land is still owned by the base, so we won't be collecting property tax, and that is what will be able to keep those rental units down.
Make it affordable for them.
Right.
And will only people from the base be able to rent there?
I'm not going to. I'm not going to answer that. I think that they're definitely a priority. I'm not sure if there's a segment of their development that would be for civilians.
This is Glenn. Who's on the phone with us?
Yeah, this is John.
Yes, sir.
I was calling about your deal about the housing being cheaper in Fort Collins, and it's not. I got a niece that lives down there, and it's terrible.
Oh, no, we were talking about Wellington, you said, is much better.
In Windsor.
Same. It's all the same thing down there. But the only thing is, I know why those guys go down there, because I've been around here for a long time. Most of those guys on the base are single. And there's a college down there. We used to have the same thing on the railroad. All the single guys moved to Fort Collins.
Well, what they ought to do then is move up to Cheyenne and then just go over to Laramie. There's a lot of available women in Laramie.
There are.
Yeah, just go right over the hill over there.
We have LCCC.
There you go. I don't see why not. LCCC is just fine. Okay, so then what about, you talked a little bit about what you'd want to cut or how you'd want to streamline government. Is there more reorganization of the city in 2018, or is that done?
I believe that the reorganization, for the most part, is done.
Okay.
We're going to let the dust settle with that, and I believe that we are really well on the way to having a right-sized government, if you will. Fewer employees than we did last year and the previous year, and I believe that we're still able to maintain providing quality services and doing it responsibly.
Any plans to fix the heating and air conditioning in your office?
Boy, I would love that.
Yeah.
I think we were both commiserating. That city building is it's old. It really hasn't been renovated. And now, if folks don't know, municipal court moved in. They started doing court proceedings just on Wednesday. So when you walk into the front of City Hall, it looks a bit different with a magnetometer and courts being held over in our chambers. And so far, it's working so well.
Okay. Have we crammed a lot into that building?
You know, we really have. That building has been very heavily used.
Okay. All right. Hey, thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you, too. So, again, 10:30 on Monday, and we need to be where for the speech?
The Civic Center.
Civic Center for the speech, or watch it online where?
Our city Facebook page will be streaming it live.